Ever since I was a kid, I've always been fascinated by time-lapse photography. From the animations that I used to watch as a kid created with stop motion, which is a form of time-lapse, through to the science programs you used to watch where you'd see the sun transition or the moon going across the sky or watching clouds rushing across. I was fascinated by it. I loved it. It was just, the whole idea was just amazing to actually be able to take a bunch of time and condense it down into a shorter, more controlled. It was fascinating. I loved it. And when I was young, I had cheap plastic film camera. Film was expensive, and then processing it was expensive. You could get 12 or 24 photos onto a film. You needed a lot more than that to make a time-lapse movie. So, one film, a 24 shot, 24 frames would be 1 second. So for every second you needed a roll of film. Couldn't do it. Just wasn't in the possibilities of my world. But then along came digital photography. I ended up, not this one, this is not my first digital camera, this is about my third or fourth digital camera. But with digital cameras you could actually shoot video. Early smartphones you could also shoot video. So you could shoot video and then take that into an editing program and condense that. So you could take hours worth of video and condense that down into seconds, which is almost the same as time-lapse photography, but not. Because a lot of these video editing programs, when they condense it, they try and smooth it just to make it look like a fast movie. But time-lapse photography isn't like that. It's not smooth. And the other problem you have is that when you take hours worth of a movie, it takes up a huge amount of memory. Now, the early smartphones, the pictures were pretty poor quality, and they used huge amounts of memory, and they didn't have much memory, so they weren't really an option. My first couple of video cameras, again, didn't really have huge amounts of memory, so doing all these sorts of things wasn't really practical. It was fun, it was interesting to experiment with it, but at the same time, what you were doing was you were taking a normal movie and then condensing it. To condense it, you used software that made it smooth and just made it look like a movie run quickly. And time-lapse photography is not quite like that. After a while, working with, again, not this camera, but an earlier one I had, you could get these little gadgets. You could put this on top of the camera, mount it on top of the camera, plug it in, remote control. It made doing time-lapse photography a lot more easier, but a lot more time intensive. You had to be there and click. You wanted 1 frame a second, you had to click every second. So you're sitting there with a watch just going click, click, click. It was possible, and you ended up with hundreds of photos, which you would then stitch together as 1 frame, 1 photo per frame, which was possible to do with a lot of editing programs, but still a lot of work. Later on, a more involved, a much better plug-in box that worked with the camera. This one I actually got as one of the early crowdfunders. This is made by Arsenal, not advertising them, but it was a great unit for my camera until I started having problems with that particular camera. Wonderful toy. I'd continue using it, and I still think it's a wonderful thing. But again, it was, in that case, you could do time-lapse photography with a normal camera, and it worked. But it still wasn't quite there. And after all of this, I started trying to puzzle it out a little bit more. I thought, okay, well, maybe it's just something I can look at a little bit further. Now with the modern smartphone, you can actually do time-lapse photography in your smartphone, which is great. except you have to put your smartphone somewhere and set it up. And if you want to take a photo of a flower, for instance, opening, you've got to basically put your phone there for days, literally days, to get the image of or to get a flower opening up. And other stuff, if you're just doing just even a tree moving in the wind, you might want an hour. Or if you want to do a sunrise or a sunset, you're losing your phone for all of that time. And these days, our phone is an extension of ourselves. It is part of our life. You can't just put your phone aside and walk away from it. I mean, you can buy an extra phone if you want, but then, you know, who's got the money to spend on a good quality phone with a great camera to just throw away for that? Recently, I found a cheap, dedicated time-lapse camera. And for the amount of money, it's under $200. I just thought, you know what? This is what I've always wanted. So I'm starting a journey now of learning how to use it. And what I'd like to do is actually take you along with me on this journey. So let's get started. Okay, so here we go with the unboxing. This was the very first time-lapse camera I've ever bought, so I was getting quite excited about it. It's an aTLi Eon from aTLi Time-Lapse. I'll try and put a link to that in the description somewhere. I'm not actually getting anything from them. I'm not actually advertising them. I don't get, this is all privately funded. This is all out of my own pocket, basically. So as you can see, it came very well packaged. It was actually on a special discount for Thanksgiving weekend. Not that I really get much of what that's about because I'm not American. But anyway, let's move on from there. Yeah, very well packaged. Nice little box. Box within a box. Everything is very, very well supported and padded. Getting quite excited by all of this. And here we are, we have the box itself. Yes, I was a bit disappointed that the seals on that box were open, but then again that may have been done just to do a double check from the people we bought it from, who are the local dealer here in Thailand. So there it is, nice little package. You can see the camera, the lens hood. It's got a little packet there full of instructions, the battery, there's a little rubber cover. Underneath there is an adapter. Now I thought it was actually a thread adapter from one size to another, but it's actually more of an extender because the cover cover's quite thick, so if you try to use the cover with a normal camera stand, the thread just won't reach through, so you need that little extender to basically get inside the waterproof cover. But that's cool. Misunderstanding at the time. Comes with a great little tripod, USB-C adapter, and sort of a glass lens, and the big lens hood too, which works really well. And a 16 gigabyte 16 gig mini SD card, so that's also pretty cool. If you look on the website, every now and then they have a special where they give you like a 64 gig card, so that's also really cool. Yeah, with the size it is in the photo. Okay, so right at the very start of this video you saw a time-lapse that I filmed using my old Canon camera with the Arsenal adapter, and that worked really well. Now I'm just going to go here to a very, very quick little time-lapse that I did using my iPhone. So this was done on a recent trip to Khao, and now this is one of my early attempts with the aTLi Eon. Set it up on the veranda, just looking at the park across from our house. I didn't realise until I looked at it just now how much that sky looks like the introduction to The Simpsons. But anyway, moving on from that, yeah, this was just sort of having a look at how it worked and trying to sort of work out how to do things. I think because the clouds were moving so slowly on this day, I would have been better off using a longer delay between frames. I think I was using around about a minute. I haven't really been keeping a record of what I've been doing. I think I was using about 10 seconds between frames on this one. I tended to use very short time lapses and yeah, not record for a long time. And that was my sort of my mistake in this video, like for instance this one, where it should have been a much longer time frame just to really capture the essence of the clouds moving. Anyway, we'll leave it there and I'll call that it for this video, and I guess I'll move on and we'll make another video in the near future. I hope you'll all come back, click that subscribe button and all of the other sorts of things. I am going to be making more videos and looking at more things, showing you all the mistakes I make as I learn how to do time-lapse videos. So hope you join me on this journey. I'd like to capture a few videos and capture a few people to watch my videos and learn with me. If you've got any questions or if you've got things that you'd like me to make videos of, I'm actually in the middle of a really long video. It's been going for about 5 days now, trying to capture some flowers opening, and that's had its own issues, which I'll talk about in a later video here on YouTube. Alright, see you next time. Bye.